Arrival in chains. Kira did not remember how long she had been a slave. She only remembered the darkness and the fear. She was young, with silver skin and bright blue eyes that had seen too much pain. Her thin arms were marked with the scars of old chains. Tonight, she was in the slave market of the city, her wrists locked in cold metal cuffs. Alien buyers walked past her, their faces hidden behind masks. Some pointed and laughed. Some just ignored her. Kira tried not to cry. She had learned that crying made the pain worse. A tall, old merchant shouted to the crowd, "Rare alien girl. Strong. Obedient?" He held Kira's chain and pulled her forward. Kira looked down at the ground. She knew what would happen next. Someone would buy her. Someone would hurt her. Suddenly, a man stepped out from the shadows. He was a middle-aged human with short brown hair and tired eyes. He did not look cruel, but Kira had learned not to trust any face. The human looked at Kira for a long moment. Then he spoke quietly to the merchant. "How much?" The merchant smiled. "For you, special price. Only 2,000 credits." The human did not bargain. He handed over the money, and the merchant unlocked Kira's chain. The human held her arm gently, but Kira pulled away, afraid he would hurt her. "Don't be scared," the human said, his voice soft. "My name is Carter." Kira did not answer. She kept her eyes on the floor. Carter led her out of the market, through dark streets and silent alleys. Kira felt every step like a heartbeat. She heard the stories. Humans are cruel. Humans break aliens. Humans torture for fun. They reached a small spaceship parked behind a building. Carter opened the door and told her to go inside. Kira did as she was told. She did not want trouble. The ship was not fancy, just clean and simple. There were no cages, no whips, no guards. Kira was confused. She sat quietly in a corner while Carter started the ship. The stars outside the window looked cold and far away. Kira hugged her knees to her chest. She wondered what Carter would do to her. Would he hit her? Would he sell her again? She wished she could just disappear. After a long, silent trip, the ship landed on a quiet planet. It was not a prison world, just a small green place with trees and wind. Carter led Kira out of the ship. He did not use the chain. He walked beside her, slow and careful, as if he did not want to frighten her. They came to a small house. The door opened with a soft click. Carter let Kira go inside first. Kira stepped in, expecting a cell or a cage. But there was only a warm room with a soft bed, a table, and a window that showed the night sky. Carter took the keys from his pocket and walked over to her. Kira shrank back, but Carter only unlocked her cuffs and let them fall to the floor. "You are safe here," Carter said. He gave her a blanket. "You can rest." Kira did not move. She did not believe him. No one had ever been kind to her. She waited for Carter to shout or strike her, but Carter only walked to the kitchen and made some food. He put a plate on the table. "There is food if you are hungry," he said. Kira stared at the plate. She had not eaten real food in days. But she did not trust Carter. Maybe he wanted to poison her, or maybe it was a trick. But her stomach growled. Slowly, she walked to the table and picked up the bread. She tasted it. It was warm and soft, and for a moment she felt safe. Carter sat on the other side of the table. He did not look at her, did not speak. He just let her eat. That night, Carter gave her clean clothes. Kira changed in the bathroom, always watching the door. She wondered if Carter would lock her in, but he did not. She slept on the bed, but did not close her eyes. Every sound made her heart jump. She waited for pain, for shouting, for chains. But the night passed quietly. In the morning, Carter was gone, but he had left a note on the table. "You are safe. Breakfast is ready. If you need anything, just ask." Kira read the note many times. The words did not make sense. Was this a trap? Was Carter just playing with her before the real torture started? She did not know. She only knew one thing. This was not what she expected. And for the first time in years, Kira felt something new, small hope, hidden under all her fear. Kira woke up to the sound of gentle rain tapping against the window. For a moment, she forgot where she was. The blanket was soft. The air was warm. She listened, holding her breath. No chains, no shouting. Just a peaceful sound of rain. But then fear returned. She remembered the human Carter. She remembered the slave market, her escape from the last owner, the cold cuffs. Kira sat up quickly, heart pounding. Was it all a trick? Was Carter waiting for her to let her guard down? She looked around the room. The door was open. No lock. No guard. Kira tiptoed down the hallway, ready to run if she had to. In the kitchen, Carter was standing at the stove, making breakfast. He did not notice her right away. Tea was humming. A slow, sad song. Kira hid behind the door and watched. Carter poured hot tea into 2 cups, then set out bread and fruit on the table. He looked tired, but not angry. He saw Kira and smiled gently. "Good morning," he said. "You can sit if you want, or not, it's up to you." Kira did not move. She remembered what other owners had done. Some were nice at first. Then came the pain. Carter seemed to sense her fear. He sat at the table, leaving the seat across from him empty. "You're not my prisoner," he said quietly. "You can go anywhere in the house. The doors are not locked." Kira did not believe him. Still, her hunger was stronger than her fear. She stepped forward, slow and careful, never taking her eyes off Carter. She took a piece of fruit and quickly ate it. Carter watched her for a moment, then spoke softly, "What's your name?" Kira hesitated. No one had ever asked her name before. She whispered, "Kira." Carter nodded. "Kira, that's a nice name." For a few minutes, there was only the sound of eating and rain. Then Carter said, "You can look around if you want. There are books, games, whatever you like. If you need something, you can ask me." Kira stared at him. Why was he being so kind? Was this part of his plan? She decided to test him. After breakfast, she walked around the house. She checked every door and window. All were open. She stepped outside and saw a small garden. Carter did not stop her. Kira ran. She ran as far as she could, heart beating fast, expecting someone to chase her. But no one followed. After a while, her legs grew weak. She was tired, hungry, and the rain was getting heavier. She had nowhere to go. She turned back. The house was still there, lights glowing softly in the windows. She crept inside, dripping wet and shivering. Carter was waiting by the door with a towel. "You came back," he said. His voice was calm, not angry. He gave her the towel and stepped aside. Kira wrapped herself up, confused. "Why? Why didn't you stop me?" she asked. Carter looked at her for a long time. "You are free here, Kira. I don't want you to be afraid. I don't want to hurt you." Kira sat by the fire, silent. No one had ever spoken to her like this. She wondered if he was lying. But she could not find any anger in his eyes. That night, Carter left a cup of hot tea by her bed. Kira watched him leave, then sipped the tea slowly. For the first time, the house felt less like a prison and more like a strange dream. Kira did not sleep much, but she did not listen for chains. She thought about Carter's words. Was it really possible to be free? Did she dare to trust a human? The next morning, Carter found her in the kitchen. He was reading a book. He offered her a seat, but did not force her. "You can help me cook if you want," he said. Kira stared at him. She had never cooked before. Carter showed her how to peel vegetables, how to mix spices, how to make soup. He did not laugh when she made mistakes. He smiled, told her stories about other worlds, and listened to her questions. Every day, Kira tested her freedom. She tried to leave. She watched Carter for signs of cruelty, but nothing changed. He was always gentle, always patient. Slowly, Kira's fear turned into curiosity. She started to talk more, to ask questions, to laugh at Carter's jokes. She still did not trust him completely. But for the first time, Kira began to hope. Maybe not all humans were monsters. Maybe kindness was real. And as she lay down to sleep that night, Kira felt something new, a tiny spark of trust. Kira stood in the middle of the small living room, clutching a plate. Her hands were shaking. She stared at the shiny floor, wishing she could become invisible. Just a moment ago, the plate had slipped from her fingers and crashed to the ground. Breaking into pieces, she waited for the shout. She waited for pain. Nothing happened. Carter looked up from his chair, where he was fixing an old radio. He saw the broken plate and Kira's scared eyes. For a moment, there was only silence. Kira's mind filled with old memories, other owners, other houses. She remembered cold hands grabbing her, voices yelling, punishment for every small mistake. She remembered hiding in corners, her body bruised and sore. But Carter did not shout. He stood up slowly and walked over. His steps were calm. His face was soft. He bent down, picked up the broken pieces, and threw them into the trash. "It's just a plate, Kira," he said. "It's not important." Kira blinked. She did not understand. Was he waiting for her to relax? Was this a trick? Carter saw her confusion. He gave her a small smile. "Come here." He reached behind a plant and pulled out something bright and colorful. It was a flower made of folded paper, each petal shining with color. "I made this for you," Carter said. "A gift." Kira stared at it. She had never received a gift before. Not in the markets, not in the work camps, never from her old masters. Her fingers touched the soft paper. It was beautiful and delicate. "Why?" she whispered. "Because everyone deserves something beautiful," Carter replied. He set the flower on the table next to her. Then he went back to his radio. Kira stood still, heart pounding. She looked at the flower again and again. For the rest of the day, she carried it everywhere. It felt like magic. As days passed, Carter taught Kira small things. How to read simple words, how to use the music player, how to bake sweet bread. He never yelled. He never forced her to work. When she got something wrong, he laughed gently and showed her how to try again. Sometimes, Kira would wake up at night, sweating and shaking from nightmares. Carter never came into her room without asking. He would knock and leave a cup of warm tea outside her door. One night, Kira heard Carter coughing in the next room. She peeked in and saw him struggling to stand up. For the first time, she felt worried for someone else. "Are you okay?" she asked quietly. Carter smiled, tired. "Just a cold, I think. I'll be fine." Kira fetched him a blanket, just like he had done for her. Carter thanked her and lay down to rest. Kira sat by the fire, thinking. She still did not trust humans completely, but she started to believe that Carter might be different. He was kind in small ways, gentle word, a warm meal, a smile when she was scared. Still, the fear never left her completely. Sometimes a loud noise or a sudden movement would make her flinch. Carter noticed he never made her feel bad about it. He just waited. He was always patient. One day, Carter found Kira sitting by the window, staring at the stars. "What are you thinking about?" he asked. "Home," Kira said quietly. Carter sat beside her. Do you want to talk about it? Kira shook her head, but she felt grateful that he asked. He handed her a small storybook with pictures and simple words. You can read this if you want, or I can read it to you. Kira nodded, and Carter read her the story. For the first time, she felt calm as she listened to his voice. The world outside was still scary, but inside this little house, with her paper flower and storybook, she began to feel safe. As the stars twinkled outside, Kira hugged the flower to her chest. She still did not know what the future would bring. But for now, she was learning something new: kindness. And that was a discovery she never thought she would make. A storm raged outside. Lightning flashing against the window, thunder shaking. The small house, Kira could not sleep. She sat up in bed, listening to the wind. Carter was still awake, his footsteps moving quietly through the halls. She heard the soft click of a door, one she had never seen open before. Curiosity burned inside her. Kira had learned that this house held no chains or cages, but she wondered, did Carter have secrets? She waited until his footsteps faded away, then crept down the hall. She found the door half open. Inside was a small, dark room. For a moment, she almost turned back, but the urge to know was too strong. She stepped inside. The air was dusty, filled with the smell of old paper and metal. Shelves lined the walls, stacked with strange alien artifacts: glowing stones, tiny metal birds, glass globes with swirling colors inside. There were faded photos on the desk, photos of Carter standing beside an alien woman with green skin, both smiling. In another picture, Carter held a tiny alien child on his shoulders. Kira reached out, her hands trembling. She picked up one of the photos, staring at the faces. They looked happy. Not like her old masters, not like the monsters from her nightmares. Who were they? Why did Carter hide them? She heard a soft sound behind her. Kira spun around, fear gripping her. Carter stood in the doorway, watching her quietly. His eyes were sad, but not angry. I see you found my secret room, Carter said, his voice gentle. Kira froze. I'm sorry. She could not find the words. Carter walked slowly into the room. He looked at the photos for a long time, his hand resting on the glass. That was my family, he said quietly. A long time ago. My wife was from another world. My daughter too. They were taken from me by humans who hated aliens. Kira stared at him, not sure what to say. Carter was not just a kind man. He was someone who had lost everything. He sighed and sat down on a small stool. I know you don't trust me, Kira. It's okay. I don't blame you. People have done terrible things to you. To me too. That's why I bought you at the market. I couldn't let you suffer like they did. Kira felt a lump in her throat. She looked at the photos again. For the first time, she saw Carter not as a master or a stranger, but as someone broken, someone who understood pain. I didn't know, she whispered. I thought you might hurt me. Carter shook his head. I could never hurt you. You remind me of my daughter. She was kind and smart, just like you. Silence filled the room, heavy but gentle. The storm outside faded to a soft rain. Kira set the photo down. Thank you for telling me. Carter nodded. You don't have to be afraid here. You are free, Kira. I promise. Kira believed him almost. Some part of her heart still hid in the shadows, but another part stepped into the light. Later that night, as she lay in bed, Kira looked at the photos she had borrowed from the secret room. The faces smiled up at her, full of love and hope. Maybe, just maybe, she could find that too. But in the quiet, a new fear whispered. What if someone found out she was here? What if the world was not ready for kindness? Kira pulled the blanket close and listened to the rain. She had found Carter's secret, and maybe a piece of her own. Kira's days in Carter's house had grown brighter. She laughed more, slept better, and even dreamed of things she had never dared to imagine: hope, friendship, a future. But peace, she soon learned, can be as fragile as glass. One afternoon, as golden sunlight streamed through the window, Kira was in the garden planting blue flowers, Carter's favorites. She hummed a song, almost forgetting the pain of her past. Suddenly, the sky turned dark. An unfamiliar ship hovered above the house, casting a long shadow over the garden. Kira froze, her hands full of earth. Fear shot through her. She recognized the symbol on the ship's side, a red claw. It belonged to bounty hunters, the kind who sold aliens like her, or worse. Carter rushed outside. His face turned pale as he saw the ship. He grabbed Kira's arm gently, his voice urgent. "Inside, now." Kira obeyed. She followed Carter into the house, her heart thudding wildly. Carter moved quickly, locking the doors and shutting the windows. He handed Kira a small silver key. "This is for the basement," he whispered. "Hide there. Do not come out until I call you, no matter what you hear." Kira clutched the key and ran down the narrow stairs to the hidden basement. She crouched behind boxes, trying to slow her breathing. Above her, she heard boots on the porch, voices shouting Carter's name. A rough voice called out, "We know you're hiding her, Carter. Give us the alien girl, and we'll leave you alone." Carter's reply was calm but firm. "There's no one here but me. Leave now, before you regret it." Kira pressed her hand over her mouth. She remembered the bounty hunters from the market. They were ruthless and cruel. She wished she could help Carter, but she was too afraid. She heard a crash, the door forced open. Heavy footsteps thundered through the house. Kira squeezed her eyes shut, trying to disappear into the darkness. Upstairs, Carter argued with the hunters. "She's just a child. She's not a threat." Carter pleaded. The hunters laughed. "She's property, not a person." "Move aside, old man." There was a struggle. Kira heard something heavy fall. Glass shattered. She could not breathe. Was Carter hurt? Were the hunters coming for her next? A gunshot echoed through the house. Silence. Kira's hands trembled. She wanted to run, but she remembered Carter's words. "Do not come out until I call you." Minutes passed, slow as hours. Then she heard Carter's voice, weak but alive. "Kira, it's safe. You can come out now." She raced up the stairs, heart in her throat. The living room was a mess, furniture overturned, broken glass everywhere. Carter sat on the floor, blood on his arm, but he was alive. The hunters were gone. Kira rushed to his side. Tears blurred her vision. "You're hurt. Why did you protect me?" Carter smiled, even through the pain. "Because you matter, Kira. You are not property. You are someone worth fighting for." She helped Carter to the couch, bandaged his wound, and brought him water. For the first time, Kira cared for someone else, not because she was ordered, but because she wanted to. That night, as Carter rested, Kira kept watch by the window, clutching the silver key. She was still scared, but something inside her had changed. She knew no matter what dangers came, she was not alone anymore. Asterisk morning sunlight touched Kira's face, warm and soft. She opened her eyes, expecting fear. But instead, she found Carter. Sleeping peacefully on the couch, his arm bandaged where she had cleaned his wound. The house was quiet, but different now. It was as if a heavy shadow had finally lifted. Kira stood by the window, watching the world outside. For the first time, she was not waiting for orders. No chains. No cages. She thought about the night before, the danger, Carter's bravery, her own fear. She remembered how Carter had called her by name, not as a slave, but as a person. The garden was full of new blue flowers, planted by her own hands. She pressed her fingers into the dirt, feeling its coolness, remembering the way Carter had said, "You matter, Kira." The words rang inside her like music. Later, Carter woke up, pale but smiling. He limped to the kitchen and began to make breakfast, his movements slow. Kira wanted to help. She wanted to do something not because she was told, but because she chose to. She took out the bread, spread fruit jam, poured hot tea. She even smiled as Carter tasted the food and nodded in approval. After breakfast, Carter sat her down at the table. His eyes were gentle, but serious. "Kira," he began, "you have a choice now. You can leave. You can go anywhere you want. No one will stop you. Or, you can stay here, if you want. As my friend, not as a slave." Kira stared at him, her heart pounding. The words were simple, but she had never heard anything like them before. All her life, choices belonged to others, not her. She looked around the house, the books she loved, the garden she planted, the small things Carter had taught her, the kindness he gave. The world outside was big and wild. She could be free, truly free. Kira walked outside, feeling the sun on her face. She wandered down the path, past the trees, listening to birds sing. She closed her eyes and imagined a life. Away from Carter, alone but free. But every memory led her back to this small house, her first real home. The sun rose higher. Kira stood in the field, breathing in freedom. She realized something. True freedom was not just about running away. It was about choosing her own path. Even if that path led her back to the one place she felt safe. As the day faded to gold, Kira returned to the house. Carter stood on the porch, hope shining in his tired eyes. She smiled, truly smiled, for the first time. "I want to stay," she said softly, "but not as a slave, as your friend." Carter nodded, tears shining in his eyes. Welcome home. Kira. That evening, they cooked dinner together, laughed over silly stories, and watched the stars come out. Kira felt light, like the weight of 1,000 chains had finally broken. She was free not because she ran, but because she chose. Kira stood on the rooftop under a velvet sky, her face turned up to the stars. Once she had watched the stars through bars and windows, dreaming of escape. Now she reached out her hand and felt as if she could almost touch them. The night was alive with gentle laughter and music. Inside, the little house glowed with warmth and light. Carter was there, stirring a pot of soup, while a group of young aliens and humans sat around the table, sharing stories and bread. Kira smiled as she watched them. Since the night of the bounty hunter's attack, things had changed. News of Carter's kindness had quietly spread. Lost aliens, scared runaways, and even some gentle humans began to visit, seeking safety and hope. Kira welcomed them all with open arms. She was no longer just a guest. She was family. She taught others how to read, how to plant blue flowers, how to believe in good things. Carter fixed broken toys and old radios for the children. Some evenings, they all danced in the garden under lantern light, laughter echoing into the night. One rainy afternoon, Carter handed Kira a small, worn box. Inside was the paper flower he had once given her. But there was something new, a small silver pendant, shaped like a star. "This is for you, Kira," Carter said softly. "You showed me how to hope again." Kira's hands trembled as she put on the pendant. She looked in the mirror and saw not a slave, not a prisoner, but a girl who had learned to shine. She wore her scars like medals. They were proof of survival, and now of happiness. But the world outside was still dangerous. Sometimes news came of other aliens caught and sold, of places where cruelty still ruled. Carter and Kira decided to do more. They worked together, turning the house into a quiet refuge. They hid the hunted, fed the hungry, and helped the lost find new homes. Kira became a voice of hope for others. She listened to their stories, shared her own, and showed them that kindness was stronger than fear. Some nights when she walked in the garden alone, she whispered to the stars, thanking them for guiding her to this strange and gentle human. As the months passed, Kira grew taller, stronger, and braver. She stopped flinching at loud sounds. She sang as she worked. The blue flowers she planted spread across the yard, bright and bold a sign to all who passed by that this was a place of safety. One night, as the family gathered by the fire, Carter turned to Kira. "Are you happy?" he asked, his eyes shining. Kira looked around the friends, the laughter, the warm light. She took Carter's hand and smiled, her heart overflowing. "I am free," she said, "and I am home." And so, under the endless sky, Kira's story became a Bikina reminder that even in a cold, dark galaxy, true happiness can bloom where there is kindness, courage, and love.